My apologies. The second half of A Defense of Publicity by GK Chstrtn. This is taking up again. For this idea, the modern idea that sanctity is identical with secrecy, there's one thing at least to be said of it. It is, for all practical purposes, an entirely new idea. It was unknown to all the ages in which the idea of sanctity really flourished. The record of the great spiritual movements of mankind is dead against the idea that spirituality is a private matter. The most awful secret of every man's soul, its most lonely and individual need, its most primal and psychological relationship, the thing called worship, the communication between the soul and the last reality, this most private matter is the most public spectacle in the world. Anyone who chooses to walk into a large church on Sunday morning may see 100 men, each alone with his Maker. He stands, in truth, in the presence of one of the strangest spectacles in the world, a mob of hermits. In thus definitely espousing publicity by making speech, the most internal mystery, Christianity acts in accordance with its earliest origins and its terrible beginning. It is surely no accident that the spectacle which darkened the sun at noonday was set upon a hill. The martyrdoms of the early Christians were public not only by the caprice of the oppressor, but by the whole desire and conception of the victims. The mere grammatical meaning of the word martyr breaks into pieces at the blow of the whole notion of the privacy of goodness. Christian martyrdom were more than demonstrations, they were advertisements. In our day, the new theory of spiritual delicacy would show a desire to alter all this. It would permit Christ to be crucified if it were necessary to his divine nature, but it would not. But it would ask in the name of good taste why he would not be crucified in a private room. It would declare that the act of martyr in being torn to pieces by lions was vulgar and sensational, though, of course, it would have no objection to being torn to pieces by a lion in one's own parlour before a circle of really intimate friends. It is, I am inclined to think, a decadent and diseased purity which has inaugured this notion that the sacred object must be hidden. The stars have never lost their sanctity, and they are more shameless and naked and numerous than the advertisements of Pear's soap. It would be a strange world indeed if nature was suddenly stricken with this ethereal shame, if the trees grew with their roots in the air and their load of leaves and blossoms underground, if the flowers closed at dawn and opened at sunset, if the sunflower turned towards the darkness, and the birds flew like bats by night. All right, so that is A Defense of Publicity by GK Chstrtn, which I can't help think with like all the statues at the moment in this being 2020 that are being torn down by protesters who indeed are rebelling against maybe what was praised in the past and the political reasons it was. I mean, there's a public argument going on, which many people find very, very indecorous. I think Chesterton was maybe a conservative fellow at heart, but there is something about that. I find that the public protest is publicity is in itself, and it's the battle with these old statues representing an old idea of what was good and just and to be praised in our society is an interesting thing in itself. So, yes, sorry for it being split into two, but that is my reading for today.